So calling all wannabe chef pâtissiers, which is a pastry chef for you, Carl, in French, with perfect pastry available straight from the supermarket freezer. It's never been easier to master your favourite baked treats at home.
How snooty are you?
Yeah, I know, very snooty.
Tell us her pastry secrets. We're joined by 9Honey's Jane DeGraff, and a reminder to scan the QR code on your screen right now to get all the recipes that we're about to go into right now. Jane, let's start with the classic pie or sausage roll, because the state of origin tomorrow night and we need to cook them.
Okay, so the first thing you need to know about a pie is you can do it in your pie maker, like I've got these ones here, or if you don't have one, don't worry, just make them in a muffin tin at home. What I would say is the most important part of making a pie is to blind bake the crust. So if you're using store-bought pastry or homemade, doesn't matter, cut it out, pop it into your pie mould and bake it for 5 to 10 minutes first to start crisping up the pastry.
The pastry itself?
The pastry itself. Then add your fillings, then add the top of your pie and cook it.
Is that the thing where you have to put rice in it?
You don't have to. If you're using short crust pastry, it won't puff up. If you're using puff pastry, you'll need to sit some beans in the top to stop it puffing up.
What do you mean beans?
Well, you can use dry beans. So you can get actual baking beans or just dried chickpeas or whatever and just sit them in there so that they stop the puff pastry puffing up and pushing all the filling out.
Wow.
But the reason you do that is so that you don't get a soggy bottom on your pie. No one likes a soggy bottom. And it also helps if you use short crust pastry on the bottom because it tends to go a bit firmer and keep things like sauces and fillings in.
So short crust on the bottom, puff on the top.
Puff pastry on the top.
So what have you put inside these pies?
So these are classic Aussie beef mince pies, and I like to use a bit of HP sauce in there and a bit of Worcestershire sauce just to give it the flavours. When you're cooking it, if it's got, you know, too much sauce in the mince
straight out of there,
mix,
so it's going to be really hot.
right. Don't burn yourself. If you've got too much sauce in your mince mix, sprinkle a little bit of flour over the top and mix it in. That will thicken the sauce so that you get like a nice thick gravy in it.
Oh, still really hot. Yeah, do.
Put the whole thing in.
All right, so sausage rolls. A lot of people, when they make them with puff pastry, when it cooks, it all puffs up and opens up and your filling all comes out. I like to avoid that by having one square on the bottom, putting my mince filling in, putting the next one over the top and folding the edges in. That way, when you get your sausage roll like this, you don't get the bits that are all opening up and puffing out. It's a really great way to make the sausage roll.
Because that is delicious inside.
Okay, so that is really good pork mince, fried down with some fennel seeds and some onion and a little bit of carrot.
Oh, yum.
Again, the trick is to make sure that your mince filling is not too wet because that'll make your sausage roll soggy.
Wow.
So what
that
I
is
do,
delicious.
so fry down your onion and your carrot and stuff and then let that cool a bit, then mix it in with your mince while your mince is still raw. Put it all in, fold it up, pop it in the oven and away you go.
Amazing. That is state of origin right there, those two.
Oh, and a bit of parmesan sprinkled on top. It's a winner every time.
Something sweet.
Okay, so this is a Cheats puff pastry Danish, and what I've done here is I've got just my store-bought puff pastry. I've cut some little marks in it, and if you grab a bit of jam and pop it in the middle of yours,
like just in here,
just in the middle, and I'll pop some in the middle of mine like this. This is just some ricotta, and you can do this with any kind of ricotta or jam that you like at home. Grab your corners. We're going to fold one to the other side like that. Press it down. Grab the other one. Fold it over the top like that. When you bake that, it will come out like this, which is like a little Danish. It just does all the fancy footwork for you, and that's just jam and pastry.
And that is ridiculously easy. So you've just sort of cut two little triangles
like this,
here and here,
and then you do a fold from one side to the other and one side to the other, and that's a Cheats Danish, which means you don't have to do anything. You're 2 ingredients and you've got a fancy dessert.
This and this look a little more complicated.
Okay, so this is what we call a 4-ingredient cinnamon scroll. Have you heard of 2-ingredient flatbread?
No.
It is self-raising flour and yogurt. You mix it together to make a dough, and usually you just cook that to make like a flatbread. If you want to turn it into scrolls, roll it out flat, sprinkle it with some cinnamon sugar and paint it with some butter, roll it up, cut it up, pop it into a baking tin like that, and in like 20 minutes you've got the most
looks like this, 20 minutes.
Cinnamon scroll with all your
delicious
dough in there. So that's not quite pastry, but it's bakery goods that we love.
How many of those are you now eating, sausage rolls?
It's none of your business.
Okay,
the last thing I want to talk about is if you're worried about putting things into, you know, like pie cases and things. So if you've got a pie case at home, you'd usually put your pastry in. If you're worried about that, at the supermarket now, they have store-bought ones.
Oh, great.
This I bought, and it was the pie crust all ready to go, but it was still, the pastry was uncooked. So you put it in the oven, you cook it a bit, and then you fill it with whatever you want. So you've literally skipped any of the shaping stage, which is amazing. They taste fantastic, otherwise you can do it yourself. And again, you just use some short crust, pop it in the oven, blind bake it a bit. And then for this filling, all I did was melt together some chocolate and cream. That's a ganache. Pour it in. pop it in the fridge to set, and you've got...
And that's what this is as well?
This one is a baked one, so it's like this one. I've mixed some egg
okay.
through it, but it's essentially the same thing. So it depends on whether you want a cooked one or a set one. Set is much easier. You don't have to do anything. You just pop it in the fridge and away you go.
And how, look, you've got this like little gold paint. That
gold dust. So
look,
again,
gold dust.
everything at the supermarket is designed to make life easy, and you'll find things that make everything look so
B
beautiful.
for the blues. B for the blues.
That make everything look so fancy. So look for the extras. If you're doing the store-bought stuff, which makes life easier, look for those little extras just to sort of fancy it up at the end.
Amazing. I just ruined that, by the way. I apologise.
No, it's beautiful. You can take it for your celebrations.
I just want to get to the ad break so I can eat the pie because it looks so good. They're great recipes, and of course you can sign to the QR code on your screen now, or you can head to 9honey.com.au for all of those recipes. Thank you, Jane.
It's not a pie unless you're burning the roof of your mouth.
Yeah.
Get into it. There's heaps.
Tradition.